So you know your father is a true narcissist when even the police officer suggests that you get a restraining order against him. I got married at 28 and I'm divorcing at 29, part 11. Less than 12 hours after I posted part 10 of the series, I was woken up by the local police, roughly around 7:30 a.m. on Friday. They told me that they got a call from my mother. It turned out that my father was impersonating her, and he told them that I had spoken to him that morning and expressed a desire to self-harm. Now, my father had been blocked from my phone since Monday, so the fact that he impersonated my mother, told them a lie in order to use a welfare check as an intimidation tactic to shut me up says a lot about him. So while at my house, the police officer does go back and verify with him if it was my mother who called or if it was him. They confirmed that yes, it was him who called. He was just pretending to be my mother. I explained the situation to the police. I even showed them where I had blocked my father that Monday. So after I explained the situation to them in full, they actually went back and they called him, this particular police officer, God bless him. He reprimanded him for making a false police report and misusing police resources in order to control and intimidate his daughter. Now, the police officer even told me that if my father lived in Florida, something definitely would have been done about it, but my father lives in Virginia. But the police officer did make a record of this false police report on the case file. He also expressed to me that he had seen this before. This is not his first time seeing a parent trying to control a child in this way by making false police reports. He also understood the dynamics of having a Caribbean parent, especially a religious one who's a pastor. And so he completely understood the context of what was happening, and he was really disappointed. Now, you would have thought that this is where that ended with my father, right? Nope. Now, later that day, right around noon, I got a call from a mental health facility called Still Mind, and they claimed, just like the police officers who showed up to my house, that my father had given them a call and told them that I texted him expressing a desire to self-harm. Again, my father has been blocked since Monday. He's called my friend, but he hasn't been able to speak to me because I've blocked him. This mental health facility that I don't even know about is calling me and telling me that my father wanted them to call me. Just like I explained to the police, I had to explain to this mental health facility that my father is unstable and he's currently going through a narcissistic collapse. After receiving that call, I did speak to one of the police officers again, and he did suggest that I get a restraining order against my father. And the fact that a police officer is making that suggestion to me is quite telling of the kind of parent that I have. The police officer literally had to explain to my father that, look, sir, this is America. This is not Jamaica. You can't just call and make a false police report and expect that there won't be any consequences for you. You can't just project mental illnesses on people because you don't like what they're saying on the internet. To think that he tried to use law enforcement and mental health resources in order to silence me and control me because I spoke the truth about him and have been using my platform to uplift and educate women on the topic of narcissistic abuse is very telling. And if I wasn't telling the truth, why would he have to go to these lengths? So you would have thought, okay, he weaponized law enforcement to try to intimidate you. He weaponized a mental health facility to try to gaslight you. It ends there, right? Nope. He's now using different relatives who I have no close relationship with. So earlier this week, he had an aunt who has never called me. This woman has never called me once in my life. And he has her call me. She leaves the voicemail saying that she hasn't spoken to me in a while and she just wanted to check in. And I just wonder, like, is it not clocking to them that I cannot be manipulated any further? So that is classic narcissistic collapse, right? Once you expose the narcissist, they're going to spiral. They're going to try to do anything they can to try to silence you. You saw in the case of my soon-to-be ex-husband, he tried to financially abuse me. He started a smear campaign locally with our mutual friends and family members and even people who go to our church. And of course, he tried to manipulate and gaslight me and threaten my career. Of course, when I told him that I was filing for divorce and I was trying to be as amicable as possible, and once I called him out publicly about trying to financially abuse me, he went ahead and filed for divorce first. Narcissistic collapse. So when the narcissist can't get to you or control you, they're going to try to use other people. And this is what they call flying monkeys. They're going to try to intimidate you in any way that they can. In the case of my father, he's trying to use family to intimidate me. Now, what my father and a lot of narcissists fail to understand is that when I'm done with you, I am done with you. And unless you're trying to reach out to me to apologize, and when I say apologize, apologizing with changed behavior on the back of that. An apology is worth nothing if there isn't changed behavior on the back of it. Unless you're reaching out to me with an apology and you have changed your behavior, I don't want to hear it. What narcissists like my father need to do is they need to face themselves. They need to look themselves in the mirror and acknowledge who they are. And they need to repent for their wrongdoing, because what has taken place here is blasphemous. What my father has done as a father and as a husband is blasphemous. When he gets in front of his churches every Sunday, he has 2 churches that he pastors in Virginia. When he gets in front of his churches on a Sunday and he pretends to be this great family man, holier than thou, it is blasphemous, and he needs to repent because he is not who he says he is. So until he repents for his lies and his wrongdoing in this life, and until he apologizes and actually has changed behavior, he will be blocked. And the same goes for other family members of the same mindset. When you get to a place in your life where there's absolutely nothing that your family can do for you, you now are in a position of control. So when I speak the truth, I speak the truth freely because there's nothing you can do for me. You can't add any value to my life. There's nothing you can do for me. You have no means by which to control me. So you can send police officers to my house all you want. You can have mental health facilities call me all day long. You can project and project and project. But the real issue is you. Your heart is corrupted. You need to repent before it's too late for you. You're 64 years old, sir. You turned 65 in November. I'm your only child and I want nothing to do with you. Do you know how sad that is? What does that say about you as a person? Now, I'll tell you what my last conversation was with my father before I blocked him that Monday. Now, I had been contacted by one of my soon-to-be ex-husband's exes, and she had relayed to me that she had a very similar experience with him. So my soon-to-be ex-husband also gave her the hardest time when she tried to break up with him. He made it extremely difficult, and he used the same type of manipulation tactics. Now, one of the things that she also said to me was, I'm not sure if he told you this, but he was diagnosed with bipolar disorder in 2017. Now, this was news to me. I had never heard this before. And you have to understand that me and my soon-to-be ex-husband, we talked extensively about mental health. Even before we did premarital counseling with our church, we talked extensively about mental health. He told me he had no mental health issues. So this was a very interesting discovery. I was also informed that he had manic episodes as a result of this bipolar disorder. Additionally, several of his friends were aware of this diagnosis. And I met several of these friends before the wedding, by the way, and they never said a word to me, which I find very interesting. So I let my father know of that discovery, and here's what he said to me, verbatim. And if he's diagnosed with bipolar, so it's treatable. Imagine your own father saying that to you and failing to acknowledge that you were manipulated and deceived into a marriage. That is marriage fraud. This is not about somebody's mental health. This is not about somebody's sexual orientation. What's egregious about what took place here is the level of deception that took place in order to manipulate me into marrying him. Not only did he perform and claim heterosexuality in order to manipulate me into marrying him, he explicitly denied having any mental health issues. So what took place here was marriage fraud, sexual deception, and a violation of my bodily autonomy, because during our marriage, he was having sex with men behind my back, and therefore he exposed me to STDs without my knowledge or my consent. Now, did he give me an STD? He sure did. A non-life-threatening one, but an STD nonetheless. Now, my father was trying to tell me that this man's mental health and sexual orientation was none of my business. When you are not involved with somebody, when you are absolutely single, your mental health is your business. And what you do sexually, that is your business. But let me just say this, when you misrepresent who you are, you guys watched parts 1 to 5, so you know how aggressively I was pursued. When you pursue somebody and you have to have them at any cost, and you lied to them and you deceived them and you manipulated them into marrying you. Now that you're married to them and you've locked them in, you're outside living in your truth, and you're exposing them to God knows what because you were living a double life, that is when it absolutely becomes my business. So you have to ask yourself, why would my father say that to me? Why would my own father defend a man who misrepresented his mental health status and misrepresented his sexuality? What is it about my father that would make him be on the side of such a man? I want you to ask yourself that question and think critically. Why would he be so triggered about me speaking the truth about this man? Now, there have been thousands of women who have reached out to me at this point, and a lot of you have dealt with the same thing. You've dealt with men who misrepresented their sexuality and manipulated you into marriages. You've dealt with men who've lied about their mental health status or lied by omission. And let me just add this in. Lying by omission is still lying. In fact, it's one of the most dangerous forms of lying. A liar by omission is one of the most dangerous people that you will deal with. A lot of narcissists lie by omission. They calculated, they schemed, they knew what to say and what not to say. And it is all a part of the manipulation tactic. For those women who've been through something similar or who are going through something similar, that is your husband. That is your partner. It is absolutely your business what he's doing sexually. Don't let anybody gaslight you about that. It is absolutely your business. If a man deceived you and manipulated you into marrying him, and he did not disclose his true sexual orientation, and if he did not disclose his mental health issues, that is material non-disclosure, and you have rights. Now, when it comes to people with narcissistic personality disorder, when they realize that they cannot get you back and that they cannot control you, you need to be very careful and very vigilant. A lot of them are going to run to get these mental health diagnoses. They are going to pretend to be the victim. That is what is happening with my soon-to-be ex-husband as we speak. He's pretending to be the victim. He's taken no accountability. He refuses to look at himself in the mirror and accept who he is. So he's pretending to be a victim. And that is what they do. A lot of the times they're going to go to the therapist and they're going to get a mental health diagnosis. What they're doing is they're hiding behind their narcissism. So use your discernment and actually pay attention to what has taken place. Document everything. Understand that sometimes this is another strategy of theirs, because when all else fails and they can't get you back, they try the pity game. Now, for anyone who's been through what I've been through with my narcissistic parents, and for anyone who's currently going through that, or if you had narcissistic parents growing up, or if you had dismissive parents in any way, if you had parents who failed you as a child, you are not alone. And I really hope that you guys get this from this series. What's most important here is that we do not become our parents. In the case of my soon-to-be ex-husband, and in the case of a lot of narcissists, they had parents who failed them. They had parents who dismissed their needs as a child. But what does a true narcissist choose to do? They choose not to heal. What they do is they continue to project that pain into every relationship they get into. They don't channel that pain into purpose. They just choose to keep hurting people everywhere they go. They never truly grew up. They haven't parented themselves. They haven't raised themselves. We have to learn to raise ourselves as adults. And we have to be committed to not making the same mistakes that our parents made, because we deserve better. You have to love yourself enough to give yourself the love and the honesty that your parents could never give you. And if you don't love yourself enough to commit to being a better person, I pray that at least you can do it for your child, if you have a child or if you're planning to have a child. I pray that you can love yourself enough to do better for the next generation, because they deserve better than what we went through. So if you don't do it for yourself, do it for them. Now, there's a time to cry, and there's a time to feel your emotions and feel your pain, but there's also a time to channel that pain into purpose. And you need to know when it's time to get up and get after it and channel that pain into purpose. Speak out about the abuse that you faced. You have to speak out, because narcissism thrives in silence. If you're silent about it, it's going to continue, I guarantee you. Do not be concerned about the people who are committed to misunderstanding you. Do not be concerned about the people who are committed to twisting your words. Do not be concerned about the people who are committed to projecting their insecurities onto you. They are going to do just that. That is to be expected. You speaking your truth not only sets you free, it sets your bloodline free. It sets so many people free when they can hear your story and they can see themselves in your story. When you are vocal about the narcissistic abuse that you have faced, the narcissist collapses. And so narcissistic collapse is what you're going to observe. I have documented the narcissistic collapses I have witnessed in this entire series. You're going to notice similar things once you start speaking out, but that's how you know you're doing the right thing. Use your voice and speak out about it. People are going to hear you. People are going to resonate with your story. When you share your stories, tag me in the video, mention me in the caption, and I will repost your story. Remember your voice, because it will set people free. Stay healthy and wealthy.